The next morning, Leo slipped out of the castle dressed in plain clothes, trying to blend in as a commoner. He didn't want anyone to recognize him as the prince, especially since he was breaking his father's rules. He traveled quickly through the forest, his heart racing with excitement and nervousness. He didn't know what he would find in the village, but he had to see it for himself. When he arrived, he was surprised by how different the village looked from the castle. The houses were small, and the fields were dry. The people were working hard, but there was a sadness in the air. It wasn't the cheerful, bustling place Leo had imagined. Gwen was waiting for him by the river, looking worried, but happy to see him. "You came," she said softly, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I had to see for myself," Leo replied. "What can I do to help?" Together, they walked through the village, visiting the families who were struggling. Leo helped them plant crops, fixed broken fences, and even carried heavy buckets of water. He worked beside the villagers, and slowly, they began to notice his kindness. They began to see him not as a prince, but as someone who cared about them. Leo was exhausted by the end of the day, but he felt a sense of happiness he had never known before. For the first time, he felt like he was truly making a difference. When Leo returned to the castle, he was tired, but happy. His clothes were dirty, his hands were calloused from work, and his body ached from the long day. But as he walked into the castle, he felt like a new person. He had seen the villagers' struggles, and he had worked with them to help make things better. It felt good to know he was doing something real. King William soon noticed the change in his son. Leo seemed healthier, more energetic. He had a new light in his eyes. "What have you been doing, Leo?" the king asked, his curiosity piqued. Leo looked at his father, his heart beating faster. "I've been helping the villagers, Father. I've seen what they are going through. The crops are failing, and the people are hungry. I want to help them." King William was silent for a moment. He was angry at first, but then he saw something in Leo's eyes that he hadn't seen before. Genuine care and understanding. "You've been working with the villagers?" King William asked. "You've been helping them?" Leo nodded. "Yes, Father. I want to be the kind of king who helps all the people, not just the ones inside the castle." King William looked at his son, a slow realization dawning on him. Maybe, just maybe, Leo was right. Maybe there was more to being a king than ruling from behind the walls of the castle. The following days in the castle were different. Leo spent more time thinking about the village and less about the royal duties he had once found so important. His conversations with Gwen had opened his eyes to the struggles the villagers faced. He knew his father, King William, had seen only the surface of what was happening. Now, Leo realized that he had a bigger role to play, one that went beyond wearing a crown and ruling from a throne. King William had noticed the change in his son. Leo was more determined, more focused on what mattered to the people. The king couldn't ignore the transformation. Leo's actions had shown him a side of the kingdom he had long forgotten. One day, King William called for a meeting in the royal hall. Leo, feeling a bit nervous, walked into the room. His father stood by the large window, looking out over the kingdom. The sun was setting, casting a warm golden glow over the land. "Leo," King William began, his voice steady, "I've been thinking about what you said. I've heard from the royal advisors that the village is struggling more than we realized. Perhaps I have not been paying enough attention." Leo's heart skipped a beat. He had never heard his father admit something like this before. "I am not used to seeing the kingdom from the villagers' point of view," King William continued. "But you've shown me that there is more to ruling than just making decisions from a throne. A king must understand his people, not just command them." Leo stepped forward, feeling a surge of hope. "Father, I know we can help them. I know we can make a difference." King William nodded slowly. "I believe you are right, Leo. I have seen how much you care. I will go to the village myself. I will see firsthand what is happening and what must be done." Leo smiled, feeling a sense of pride. His father was finally understanding. The kingdom was on the edge of change, and it was Leo who had opened his eyes to it. A few days later, King William arrived in the village. The people were surprised to see him. They had never expected the king to come to their small community, let alone walk among them. He looked at the dry fields, the struggling crops, and the tired faces of the villagers. They had all been working so hard, but it was clear that their efforts had not been enough. The villagers gathered around as the king walked through the village, his presence both imposing and surprising. He had never looked so concerned before. He approached an elder man who was working on repairing a fence. "What is happening here?" King William asked, his voice soft but firm. The man looked up, surprised but grateful. "Your Majesty, the crops have failed, and the weather has been unforgiving. We've worked so hard, but there is not enough food to go around." King William nodded. "I understand now. This is not just about crops. It's about ensuring the people have what they need to live. I will make sure that you get help. I promise you." As the king walked through the village, he spoke to the people, listened to their concerns, and saw their struggles with his own eyes. It was clear to him now that his previous distance from the villagers had hurt them more than he could have imagined. They were his people, and it was time for him to act. Later that evening, King William stood in front of the villagers in the town square. The people gathered around, eager to hear what he had to say. "I have seen the hardship you face," the king said, his voice full of sincerity, "and I apologize for not seeing it sooner. I promise that from this moment on, I will work alongside you. We will bring food, we will rebuild the farms, and we will make sure that no one goes hungry." The villagers cheered, their hearts lifting. For the first time in a long while, they felt hope. King William's words had given them the strength to carry on. But the king wasn't finished. He turned to Leo, standing beside him. "Prince Leo has shown me what it truly means to care for the people. His kindness and his willingness to help have inspired me," King William said. "I want him to take on more responsibility in the kingdom, to work alongside me, to ensure that the needs of all our people are met." Leo's heart swelled with pride. His father had not only recognized his efforts, but had also entrusted him with a bigger role. Leo was no longer just a lonely prince. He was becoming a leader. Back at the castle, things began to change. King William kept his promise to the villagers. He sent food to the village, rebuilt their homes, and made sure that every family had what they needed to survive the harsh seasons. He also worked on improving the kingdom's trade agreements, ensuring that food and resources were distributed fairly. Leo worked alongside his father, learning what it meant to be a true leader. He visited the village often, spending time with the people and making sure their voices were heard. He and Gwen continued to meet, though now their friendship was no longer a secret. The villagers respected Leo for his hard work, and Gwen was proud of him. They both knew that their efforts had helped bring about the change that had turned the kingdom into a better place. One day, as Leo and Gwen walked along the river, Leo turned to her with a smile. "Thank you, Gwen. You showed me what I was missing. You helped me see the truth." Gwen smiled back, her eyes sparkling. "You did all the hard work, Leo. I'm just happy I could help." Leo's heart was full of gratitude. "I never thought I would find a friend like you. You've taught me so much about kindness, about the world outside the castle walls." Gwen reached out and gently touched his hand. "And you've shown me that even the smallest actions can change everything. You're going to be a great king, Leo." Leo smiled, knowing that their friendship had changed both of them in ways they couldn't have imagined. And as the kingdom began to flourish once again, Leo knew that this was only the beginning of a new chapter for him and for the people he had come to love. As time passed, the village grew stronger. The crops thrived, the people's spirits lifted, and the kingdom was filled with joy. King William, now fully understanding the needs of his people, continued to work alongside Leo to improve the kingdom for everyone. They made sure that no one was left behind, and the kingdom became known as a place where kindness and fairness ruled. Leo and Gwen's friendship only grew stronger. They spent more time together, laughing, working, and helping the village thrive. Their bond was built on trust, respect, and the shared belief that true leadership comes from understanding and caring for others. King William began to spend more time with Leo, teaching him the ways of leadership and showing him the importance of listening to the people. Leo was no longer lonely. He had found not only a friend in Gwen, but also a purpose in helping others. As the years passed, Prince Leo became known as the kindest and most fair ruler the kingdom had ever known. He and Gwen remained close friends, and their story became one of inspiration for all who heard it. They showed the world that even a lonely prince could change everything with the right heart and the courage to act. And in the end, Leo found what he had always longed for: love, friendship, and the chance to make a difference. The kingdom was full of laughter, hope, and a new beginning, thanks to the kindness of a young prince and a humble village girl